Hello, John Carter here. I just wanted to say thank you for your support of our law enforcement officers through 2021. 2021 was a tough year for law enforcement, but now we're in a new year for 2022. Law enforcement has always made a commitment to try to keep communities safe. At least that's been our commitment here in Dundee County. And we've been accountable to the community for the things that we've committed to and the things that we do. However, in doing our job, we need the support of not only the community, but everyone, including those who are appointed and elected to also have accountability in the community. And that has not always been the case. You know, we were, we applied for a grant for some CARES Act funds or COVID funds for hazard pay. As a lot of you know, that was a controversy last year for a period of time. And that money came to the county here, and it was decided that it would be held by the county board and just put into the general fund. Our law enforcement officers in this county don't get paid what they deserve, but they accept and get paid what they were promised, and that's fine. We do our job and we do it with excellence. Sheriff Nichols went out of his way to hire the best that he can find to bring to Dundee County to serve the people of this county, and he's done an excellent job in doing that. He didn't care what they look like. He didn't care about the ethnicity, their race, their background, their culture. The only thing that they could not be criminals, and they had to meet the Grand Island law enforcement standards and the standards under the Crime Commission, which we do, and we're here, and we have been serving. But we applied for another grant this year, which again, our county board has found reason not to allow us to go through with it because it included funds for hazard pay. When the courthouses shut down and people could not work, your law enforcement, your first responders, we were still on the job. We didn't have the option not to go into people's houses. We didn't have the option not to make contact with folks because when you called, we were there. We will always be there. That's our commitment. That's our job. That's what you depend on us for. We've made arrests in this community. We've arrested people for burglaries. They have not been prosecuted. We've arrested people for sexual assault. 27 investigated, 18 dismissed, 2 still pending, but not filed on. And we really don't know what happened to the rest of them. But they were not prosecuted. The burglaries in this community, not prosecuted. Several other types of crimes against juveniles, the child abuse neglect cases and the elder abuse cases that we've worked on. We've taken down meth houses. Many of you remember the garage that burned down because of meth. Oh, and did I fail to mention that the house that we served a warrant on where they were throwing the meth in the fire with children in the house, and it was so bad that the law enforcement had to evacuate out because it was a danger to our health. And the fumes were toxic, not only to us, but to the children that were also in that house. Those people were not prosecuted. It's tough for us to do our job in this community when there are no prosecutions. It's my understanding that over a dozen felons went to prison in the over 4 years before I got here. In the 4 years going on 5 that I've been in this community, no one has gone to prison. None of the felons that we have arrested have gone to prison. The only reason that this county, this town is as safe as it is because the men and women of the sheriff's office are committed to going after the folks that will cause mayhem, thefts, and everything else and bring drugs into this community. They're jailed. They may not be prosecuted, but they're jailed. But it's time for that to stop because a criminal should not get away because he just agrees to change his address. That is ridiculous. A criminal needs to be prosecuted because here's what happens under the law in Nebraska, whether you know it or not. When a case is dismissed, that case is sealed. And we cannot even discuss with other law enforcement or anyone that person's arrest, their police contact, or the fact that they've even been to court. It's like it never happened. Those cases are expunged and they are purged from the system of other folks knowing what happened. The contact is still there, but we can't even tell anybody about it. So they basically get off scot-free. So when they go to other communities and commit crimes, and if those prosecutors decide to prosecute them, it's like it happened for the first time. We need the support and the commitment from other elected officials and appointed officials to be accountable to this community, just like everyone holds the sheriff office accountable. You know, what happened to the audit report that was done by the state auditor where there was over $1 million that was allegedly misappropriated in this community? Because if the county board and the county attorney for this county will have the same zeal to investigate things like that and bring accountability to those kind of things happening in this community, we would be great. But it seems like the only agency that's held accountable for everything that it does is the sheriff's office. Although we work very hard, just like everyone else, we stay true to our commitment, just like everyone else, but we want everyone else to be held to the same accountability as we are. That's only fair. And we'll continue to do a great job, whether it's appreciated or not, because you got to know that most times law enforcement is a thankless job, but we do it anyway. Someone has to do it, but we do it because we like it. Sheriff Nichols made a commitment to hire the best of the best to come here to serve the people of Duncan County. He didn't care what they look like. He didn't care what they sound like. He only cared that they were experienced, that they had integrity, that they had honesty, and that they had the drive and the determination and the skill set to do a good job for the people that they were called here to serve. And so far, he has been stellar in his commitment to this community. We just hope that all of the child abuse and neglect cases, the sexual assaults, the burglaries, the meth cases would start getting prosecuted. That's all that we ask. We need a support system for our law enforcement, just like the community supporters. We need your other elected officials to continue to support the sheriff's office as well. May is coming, and that's a primary election. And if you know that there are folks that are not committed to what they stated and promised that they would do, then that's the time to change the guard and put people in that's going to hold true to the commitment, just like the men and women in law enforcement have done. The circus will stay in town if there are clowns elected to run that circus. As long as there are clowns, the circus is going to stay in town. So if we want to change things, we need to change it at the height, at the top, and let those changes, that leadership, flow down to the bottom. You know, our state auditor did that audit and said, hey, where's the accountability for over $1 million worth of funds that are now unaccounted for? If that was the sheriff's office that had done that, man, we wouldn't even have law enforcement credentials anymore, because we would have been held accountable for what we did and would have had to say something and say something to the community about what happened to over $1 million worth of funding. That just kind of went away. But if the sheriff writes a grant to just compensate his officers or buy equipment, radar equipment and things to make this community safer, why does the county board oppose that and try to take that money and use it for itself or just put it into the general fund? If they want the grant money that bad, then write your own grants. We do, but we're not writing the grants for you to just take what rightfully belongs to us and then call people behind the sheriff's back and make these arrangements that whatever does come to the county, in addition to what the taxpayers are paying, you believe that you should take it for yourself. Sheriff Nichols made a commitment that everything wouldn't always fall on the backs of the taxpayers. He is the only one that tries to save the county money and will even return money back to the taxpayers of Duncan County at the end of every fiscal year. But yet, somehow law enforcement is always the bad guys. We simply want accountability for everyone across the board. We want the criminals to be prosecuted that we bring to justice. It's not enough just to put them in jail, because they will come back if all they have to do is change their address in order not to be prosecuted. We want that to stop, and we need your help to do it. Please hold your other appointed and elected officials accountable.